2, 1, go!
Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, KingNido here, and we're in Jubilife City, where today whoever wins this matchup will move up into the Elite Four, and the Opelucid Dragonids are starting out with Haxorus and Dragalge, whereas the Jubilife Venom will be starting out with Nidoqueen and Roserade. Haxorus, with the speed advantage on the field at the moment, is going to go for that Scorching Sands onto Nidoqueen, which will be super effective. Now Roserade is going to go for the knockoff. It will knock that Leopard Berry off of Dragalge with that move, and Nidoqueen is going to follow it up with a Night Daze onto the Poison Dragon type as Dragalge responds with a Teeter Dance. This will confuse everyone on the field except for itself, but as I said, whoever wins this matchup here today will move itself up into the Elite Four. Now Haxorus is going to need to shake off this confusion that it has received from its teammate. The Dragonids do not want that Teeter Dance to backfire. And Haxorus is able to go for an Ember, going for Nidoqueen instead of going for a super effective move onto Roserade, as Roserade needs to shake off that confusion, and it does, going with the Gastro Acid onto Haxorus here. That is going to suppress Haxorus' ability. Now it's Nidoqueen's turn to try and shake off that confusion, and everybody's able to do it as it goes for the future sight. It focuses in onto Haxorus with that one as Dragalge is going to get a same type attack bonus from an Outrage. A huge hit there onto the Poison Grass Roserade. Massive damage as Haxorus is unable to shake off the confusion that time and hurts itself in its confusion. Now Roserade is going to try and succeed, going with the Expanding Force here. Looks like it's going to go for Dragalge with that move. A fantastic hit, super effective, and Dragalge is eliminated early on in this matchup. That's exactly what the Jubilife Venom want. This is Nidoqueen is unable to shake off its confusion and did exactly what Haxorus does, hurts itself in its confusion, as Salamence, with its Intimidate ability, comes out onto the field, lowering the attack stat of both Roserade and Nidoqueen, the Super Legendary, making an immediate status impact, going for the Shadow Sneak as well, making a physical impact, eliminating Roserade from this matchup with its first move, as Haxorus snaps out of its confusion and going with the Weather Ball onto the Queen of the Nidos. So Nidoqueen does take damage from that move, as it still has that confusion to deal with as well, and unfortunately it does strike itself in its confusion, and Haxorus now taking the future sight attack that was set up earlier by Nidoqueen. And speaking of Queen of the Nidos, we now have the King of the Nidos. It is the amazing Nidoking, who is going to see Nidoqueen get eliminated by the Seismic Toss from Salamence. Nidoking must be furious with that, as Haxorus with the Energy Ball onto Nidoking. Decent damage there as Nidoking goes with the Charm instead of trying to take out its frustration on seeing Nidoqueen get eliminated. Instead, it's going to harshly lower Salamance's attack. Now we have Gengar coming out onto the field, but that Bell Chime for the Heal Bell does fail. Salamence sets up a Sticky Web on the side of the Jubilife Venom. Whoever comes out onto the field for that side now will be slowed down as a takedown from Haxorus onto the incredible Nidoking. Haxorus gets some recoil damage, and Nidoking, sick of taking this damage, goes for the flip turn, hits Haxorus, which isn't very effective, but it will go back to the bench. Nidoking has seen enough, and it's Venusaur now coming out for the Venom, and immediately gets caught in that sticky web, so its speed stat will be lowered. Gengar, though, sets up a Trek Room, so that speed stat being lowered may be beneficial, because Venusaur is now the quickest Pokemon on the field, and immediately goes for the Ancient Power onto the Flying type, which is super effective. Venusaur does not get any stats boosted with that, as a withdrawal from Haxorus is going to boost its defense stat. And now Salamence going with the Lava Plume. This is going to hit everybody on the field, and Haxorus is able to stay in the matchup. It is super effective on Venusaur, who goes for the Speed Swap, switching with Salamence during a Trick Room. Is not the time for that to happen, and Salamence responds with a Liquidation, and this won't be very effective on the Grass Poison type. This is the second Grass Poison type to come out for the Venom today, as Haxorus performs a Splash, but nothing happens. Now Metal Burst does fail from Gengar. Now Venusaur with a Power Whip onto the Pseudo Legendary. This won't be very effective due to that Flying typing. However, it did get the same type attack bonus as an Acrobatics onto Gengar from Salamence. Surely it should have gone for Venusaur with that, as Haxorus is the second Liquidation we've seen hit Venusaur in this matchup. Again, not very effective. And Aromatherapy from Gengar will fail. It continues to fail with moves. There's Venusaur with the Psychic Fangs on the Salamence. That is a very good hit there from the Cantonian starter Pokemon, who does get hit with an Acid along with Gengar from Salamence, but Gengar with that Cursed Body is going to disable Salamance's attack, as Haxorus with a Horn Leech onto the Ghost type is going to restore some of its health after that not very effective move. And Haxorus definitely needed some health restored, but again, that cursed body comes into effect on Haxorus now. Now Gengar with a Night Slash is going to eliminate Haxorus. So Haxorus didn't even get a chance to struggle. It is eliminated as Altaria comes out onto the field, and Venusaur with a Poison Sting welcoming, as we have two Dragon Flying types now, and Salamence with its own struggle onto Venusaur. Venusaur will be taken out by that move, but that recoil damage will take Salamence out of this matchup as well. We are down to a 3 versus 3 battle, and Altaria with an Ice Shard is going to change that, because Gengar is eliminated. Again, its Cursed Body will come into play, but it is now a 2 versus 3 battle. As the dimensions return back to normal, Nidoking returns to the field and is joined by Toxapex and Dracovish coming out for the Opelousas Draconids. Now both Nidoking and Toxapex will be caught in that sticky web, so both their speed stats will be lowered. This is fantastic for the Draconids, who have that 3-2 advantage, and Altaria is going to struggle, having no moves left thanks to that Cursed Body. Gets a critical hit there onto Toxapex, but does more damage to itself with that recoil. Dracovish follows that up with a Whirlpool onto Nidoking, and as we inevitably always seem to see, sadly, Nidoking is eliminated from this matchup. Toxapex is all by itself. It has 3 Dragon-type Pokemon to contend with. Going with the Tail Whip here, it is going to lower Altaria and Dracovish's defense stats. It needs to follow that with some huge offense, as Altaria with a struggle again on the Toxapex is doing more damage to itself. Dracovish now with a Horn Leech. We did see this earlier by Haxorus, so Dracovish is, or would have restored health if it wasn't already at full strength, but Toxapex with the Stuffed Cheeks is going to boost its defense stats greatly, and it's already got 152 defense as it is, as Altaria continues to struggle, doing even less damage to Toxapex. Now Altaria has one more of them left, surely, as a Future Sight is set up by Dracovish, and we saw this being set up earlier. Cross Chop is avoided by Altaria, and Altaria is no longer disabled, but it does miss with the Fire Spin. Dracovish though with a Hydro Cannon onto the Water Poison type, a really good hit, quite surprisingly, for a not very effective move. And Toxapex though responds with a Sacred Fire onto Altaria, and Altaria is eliminated with a not very effective move of their own. But it is now Goodra coming out, who does fail with the Purifiers. Dracovish has to recharge. Toxapex goes for the Power Trip now onto Dracovish, but unfortunately, it does take that Future Sight attack, and Toxapex is eliminated with that super effective move, giving the Opelousas Draconids the victory here, which is going to move them up into the Elite Four. This is fantastic for the Dragon types. They are 4th, whereas the Jubilee Venom have been knocked out of the Masters 8 after this matchup. They're going to look to perform much better when they face the Lumiose Lightning next round. The Opelousas Draconids next match will be against the Pony Canyon Fissure, who are also in the Elite Four, but our next matchup will be the Pheromones facing the Cinnabar Flare. I look forward to that matchup. Pheromones definitely want that to try and get back into the Masters 8, and the Cinnabar Flare need to get their season going, as they are having a horrible start. But Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.